Does your brain ever just get full?
You're faint to me.
Hello.
Yep.
Okay. Audition. As I was saying, does your brain ever just get full?
Oh yeah. My brain is always like I did my live stream this morning,
Uh-huh.
and that was from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock my time. It's 11 o'clock right now, so I had about an hour to rest my brain in between those. And I played. I bought a new video game.
Oh, cool.
Oh, what's it called? It's like, hold on. It's called.
Which platform?
Well, it's on the Steam Deck.
Okay. It could have been on Quest 3.
Yeah. What's the? Oh, whoops. It's a Vampire Survivors like game.
Are you surviving the vampires or are you a vampire trying to survive? Because it can go
You're
either way.
Oh, what is the game? Oh my God, I can't believe I don't know the name of this game. I just bought it. Let me look at my hold on, look at my activity. Well, that's Halls of Torment. There you go. It's called Halls of Torment.
Okay.
And it is kind of like Diablo meets Vampire Survivors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so you're running around and killing monsters and getting more gear, but it's very much like quickly gaining skills, getting abilities. So it's a very quick, like a 30-minute turnaround game, but it's totally mindless
That's
and yet super
awesome.
fun. Did you ever play Vampire Survivors?
No, but I've watched it on YouTube. So,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. It is just like it starts out. It's a very easy game to play, but a very satisfying game to play. And then after a while, it becomes just a kaleidoscopic nightmare in front of you, and yet you're still enjoying yourself
Yeah.
as just entire screens of enemies are vaporizing to just you unleashing all kinds of nonsense at them. And then there's all kinds of unlocks and stuff. So it's very much like
That's
that.
cool.
And it's cheap. It was like $7. I'm like,
Oh,
done.
yeah, yeah.
And it's overwhelmingly positive. Everybody likes it. Yeah, I have a special place in my heart for those kinds of games. There's that, and then there's Brotato. I don't know if you ever played Brotato.
No.
Yeah, you're a potato who can gain various weapons, but it's a very limited. Brotato's good, but it's kind of a little bit limited. But this game very much scratches the itch of the Diablo, where you run around, kill a bunch of monsters, pick up their loot, sell it, and so on.
Very cool. Very cool.
So I watched a couple of shows recently that I thought I would want to share. So the
Please.
first one, it's called Mars Express. Have you heard about this?
No. What is it?
So it's a French animated film about a woman and her robot police partner who are chasing down a hacker and her robot partner. And it's kind of like Blade Runner, kind of
Oh.
like Eon Flux, kind of
It.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
But the animation style is beautiful. It's funny. The action sequences are amazing. It just felt like the exact kind of movie that I really enjoy, animated in a way, and yet the dialogue was great. Yeah, 100%. I recommend it. Like best movie of the year, I think was it came out in 2023, but Mars Express
That's.
and then the other movie that we watched was, and this is on Netflix, and it's called Dead Talent Society. And it's a Taiwanese movie. And it's sort of a cross between What We Do in the Shadows and Monsters, Inc. So it's about, and it's live action, but it's about the afterlife and how ghosts have to scare people to survive, and that they have ritualized. And so the way it works in kind of Taiwanese and Chinese culture is that you remember your ancestors,
Yeah.
and you go and you give offerings, and you remember them, and for the ghosts, they can only exist as long as people are remembering them,
Yeah.
as long as people. And so the way you gain notoriety is you scare people. And so they have like social media groups where they're trying to sort of talk about the different ways that they're scaring people, and they come together as conglomerates and production facilities that are like movies, but they're trying to come up with these elaborate hauntings where, you know, it takes a lot of moving parts for them to be able to properly haunt somebody, like The Ring, or, you know, like in these sort of Chinese ghost stories. And but it's told from the perspective of the ghosts that are just trying to survive. They just want to not vaporize to gain belief in Cain. And so it's really funny, and so it's like, it's not a horror movie, but it's about this concept of horror, and it was it was just wonderful. And so those are two movies that I would highly recommend that we've watched in the last couple of weeks.
Can you say the video game name again? I didn't write it down fast enough.
It's called Halls of Torment. Yeah. And you start as a fighter, and you're moving around, and you're swiping your sword, and your sword is killing skeletons, and then you pick up things that give you new abilities, and you can gain more health and more strength and more walking speed, and you can collect things from farther, and then bosses show up, and you kill the bosses, and then the bosses drop treasure, and you can put the treasure on your character that makes your character more powerful. And then it's a relatively quick game, like 30 minutes a round.
That's
and then
cool.
And then as you complete various levels and different characters, then you unlock new characters, new abilities, and there's like 500 achievements in the game. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, I have our attic set up for video games, except our attic doesn't have air conditioning yet. And so it is finally returning to temperatures where I can take the temperature sensitive electronics back up to the attic and start playing without me or the computers dying.
Yeah.
So I've been reading books. Have you jumped on the Dungeon Crawler Carl bandwagon yet?
Yeah, I finished them. Didn't I?
They're amazing. No, I think you must have done
amazing.
it over the summer.
All 7. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
7. Yeah. The thing that I'm doing that's kind of new, which is very not me. Very anti-Fraser.
Is it a paper book? Are you going to show us a paper? You are showing us physical media.
Physical media. I am now returning to physical media. I am kind of exhausted with streaming media.
Yeah.
Kind of sick of it.
Yeah.
And so there's movies that I love, and I bought a Blu-ray player, and I actually bought an ultra high def player, and then I've been picking up Blu-rays at pawn shops and garage sales and things like that. And so I've just got a small collection: Planet Earth, Star Trek, Master and Commander, Lord of the Rings, Inception, Dark Knight, Gladiator, like the movies that I really love.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have a small collection of movies and television shows that I really love in physical media.
Right.
And then be able to watch them. And then the other thing that we've been doing is, I don't know if we talked about this last week, my library is really good.
Yes. Yeah, we did talk about that last week.
Yeah, so we've been watching 2 to 3 movies every week, just that I took up from the library.
Yeah,
and so we watched The Moon last night, which is a Korean movie. We watched what else did we watch? And I've got a bunch more ready to go. So I take out about 7 DVDs a week. And if we don't get through them, then they weren't meant to be, right? Then you just take it back, and you're like, okay, give me another 7, and then you bring them home, and then so you can watch a movie a night. And if you reach the end of the week and you just never felt interested in taking out that movie, you just take it back. So yeah, sort of physical media is feeling just like, I think we're in a renaissance of physical media.
Yeah. That.
Yeah.
I agree, and like my credit cards are forever doing the get this streaming service free and so I'm forever bouncing between which credit cards I'm charging things to keep the free, but it becomes work at a certain point.
Yeah, and when you think about the amount that you spend, so you spend $150 a month on all of your streaming media combined. That is, if you pick them up at garage sales, I mean, I get my Blu-rays for $3 a piece.
Right.
right? So that's 50 movies. You're not going to be able to watch 50 movies in a month.
No.
But you could also buy new ones. They were on sale during the Prime Day. You could have bought Oppenheimer for $10 at 4K. So
and Best Buy at Thanksgiving here, I don't know if they do the same sales for Canadian Thanksgiving, will have like the box sets of stuff. So like I've got 6 Feet Under that way. I got Babylon 5 that way.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking at the Stargate. There's all Stargate SG-1, all Atlantis, all Universe, all Blu-ray
that's like,
for like $200. And then you just got this giant boxed set of every single episode of the show that you like in a way that they've it's good production. There's a Star Trek Next Generation version of that. So, there's a lot of shows here in the house where especially Carla will, my wife will just go through them over and over and over again. She rotates through Star Trek just constantly. Month after month after month. So she'll go through, right now she's going through Deep Space Nine, and then she'll go through Voyager, and then she'll go through Enterprise.
That's what Kyle
does. Then she'll go through Deep Space Nine, and then she'll go through old show, then Next Generation, and just back around.
Yeah.
Because for her, it's all very comforting. So.
Right.
I'm less so like that, but I'm definitely sort of experiencing, just wanting to kind of get the stuff physically that I love.
Yeah.
And have it.
And there's that frustration, like one of my friends has Crunchyroll for anime, and it's always a matter of which version do they have? Is it dubbed or is it subtitled? And all of that stuff changes over time.
Yeah. Where is it?
Right.
You're like, oh, I really want to show you this movie. Oh, it's nowhere.
Yeah. So
I can't show it to you. Yeah.
We're currently watching, and I'm going to mispronounce it. I always do. Dada Dan.
Dan to Dan.
Yeah, that. And it's,
so are we.
Yeah. And I can never remember the title. It's like this long. There was one that we just finished watching about a guild receptionist who will kill any boss to avoid overtime. And that's roughly the title. And
that's the episode of Dan to Dan?
No. There's that's a different one that we just finished watching.
A different anime. Okay.
And there was this moment where one of us typoed things into Roku, and so there was this moment of, wait, did it go away before we got to watch the last couple of episodes? And luckily it was just a typo, but you never know. It was like last week we mentioned Westworld going away.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Dan to Dan is great. Delicious in Dungeon is great.
That one I haven't watched yet. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Adding it to the list.
Delicious in Dungeon is easily my favorite anime of the last couple of years. Yeah. Yeah, it's about a team of adventurers that are trying to get down deep into this dungeon to be able to rescue their friends, but the problem is they can never find. They can't afford enough rations to come. To get down there, and so then they. But one of them in the party thinks, well, what if we cook the monsters? Could we make our supplies last longer? And then they meet this dwarf who has already been thinking about this, and together he teaches them all of the different ways you can prepare the monsters that you meet as you go deeper and deeper into the dungeon. And now they survive forever, and they're eating gourmet food as they make their way down through the dungeon to be able to rescue their friends. Yeah, Delicious in Dungeon is terrific.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Sakamoto Days is another one I recommend. It's just
we're watching
silly.
Sakamoto Days as well. It's pretty bizarre.
Yeah, that's why I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, and Dan to Dan takes bizarre to the next level.
Yeah.
And the art style on that is just off the charts.
Yeah.
Delicious in Dungeon is a lot more.
It's
it just
standard.
has this cozy, clever concept that just makes it really enjoyable. So I really like it.
I would like to state, you and I are currently living our best teenager lives.
Yes.
Watching anime. I'm back to playing Magic the Gathering. We have video games.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, we definitely are. And it's really funny to interact with my kids where we're watching the same YouTubers,
right?
We're playing the same games. Like I did not have that experience with my parents.
No, neither did I.
When I was 20 years old, and I would be talking about game balance, I would not talk to my mother about game balance of Magic the Gathering.
No,
right?
No.
But yet I can have these conversations, or my kids can have these conversations with me, and we will go deep into the nuance of collecting different versions of the sets and blah blah, and different video games and sales on Steam and so much, right?
Right.
Like it's just a completely different experience, I think, for my kids' perspective on what it's like to interact with me as a parent than what I had to interact with my parents. They had no context for what I did as a teenager,
Yeah.
as a young adult. But on the flip side, I was the one who curated their media experience as children. I'm the one who exposed them to the various video games that they played at the time and played it with them.
Right.
So it's just a totally different experience of
Yeah.
childhood. And I wonder if people who are watching this right now, that's their experience, their kids or their parents, they see
Yeah.
them more as equals or more as peers than necessarily authoritarian figures, just because there's a shared experience in what you consume. Anyway, we should do our job.
We should. Okay.
Yeah.
This is 677.
768.
Wow. Okay.
You got every part of that wrong.
I did. File. I'm just going to close this and try again. There's no redeeming that particular. That was just screwed up. Okay. Except I hit Control Q instead of Control W, and that did not go as intended. Okay.
Oh, Hal McKinney's saying I bought a bunch of high definition movies on the old HD Xbox format, and now I have no means of playing them. Yeah, physical media. It's got to be just like go with standards, Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Even DVDs. Like we play DVDs on our big TV, and they work. They look great.
What's the episode number?
768.
768. Okay.
Sort this list. In reverse. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Date created, newest first.
I am now
Yes.
able
Okay, good.
to press record. I am pressing record on the audio. I am pressing record on the video.
I've also pressed record. All right, here we go. Astronomy Cast, episode 768, Comet Unpredictability. Welcome to Astronomy Cast, our weekly facts-based journey through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Fraser Cain. I'm the publisher of Universe Today. With me, as always, is Dr. Pamela Gay, a senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute and the director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I am doing well. Our sites are still a bit on the struggle bus with the onslaught of scrapers, but I seem to have things running slow but not crashing, and I'll take slow and not crashing and continue to work on it. So thank you everyone for your patience. This was not what AI ever talks about doing to people. Where are my Terminators?
I would prefer Terminators over them slowly degrading our website service. Yeah, at least the Terminators are honest with you, as opposed to sneakily pretending to be Chrome browsers that are just browsing your website thousands of times a second.
Right.
So we did something unusual this week over on my YouTube channel. We released, instead of doing our normal news roundup with Space Bites, we did a roundup of news about Comet 3i Atlas. And it was a very different episode, something unlike we've never done before, which was that I went very carefully through every single paper that has come out about 3i Atlas over the last 3 months.
There's some doozies in there.
The ones that I felt were scientifically valid.
Okay,
all
fair.
of the in archive.
Thank you.
And then just sort of we connected it all together into a video, but it's just like reference after reference. Screen, you could see us going through the paper, quotes. It was footnoted. It was like an academic journal of its own. And a very different. Normally, I'm very much kind of fast and loose about the news. In this case, I was saying the names of the principal investigator. Or we were providing a link to the paper on archive. We were showing it. Just we brought receipts for this episode.
That's so important.
Yeah, because it's just there's so much AI slop out there, and so I think if you want a very science-based reference about 3i Atlas, definitely check out the episode that we did this week over on our YouTube channel, the Universe Today YouTube channel. But it's also, I send it out in my newsletter, and we have it on the podcast and all of the places. But I hope people really enjoyed that. It took me about 4 times as long as it normally takes me to do a Space Bites, because it was so carefully, meticulously researched, and it felt very weird to do the episode, and I thought it was just going to be a disaster. But then Anton, our editor, he just nailed it. So it's a beautiful video, great graphics, lots of really cool stuff.
That's awesome.
And also really meaty scientifically. So definitely check that out. I'm really proud of what we did.
Yeah, that's some of the stuff you do is like must watch, and that one is getting added to the list of things that I must watch.
Yeah. So it's been decades since we've seen a bright comet in the sky. And actually there was a pair, Hale-Bopp and Hyakutake, and then silence and unmet promises by the universe to give us a bright comet. Comets are unpredictable, and they arrive precisely when they intend to. Is it time again for a bright comet? We'll talk about it in a second, but it's time for a break. And we're back. So, Pamela, is it time? Are we due? Is this it? Is this our moment?
I don't think we're going to get a Hyakutake or Hale-Bopp, and this makes me sad, because those two were my company at the end of undergrad, the beginning of graduate school.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's sad that it's been so long, 26 years?
Yeah.
27 years? Like, there are people watching this episode, people listening to this podcast, that were not born when there was a bright comet in the sky. That you have, and you're like, yeah, but what about McNaught? What about Comet SWAN? What about Comet Lemon? Those are nothing. Those are garbage. Those are meaningless. You don't know what a bright comet looks like when you stand outside and it has a tail that stretches for 20 degrees in the sky, that you can see it as the only object when the sun has gone down, that it just is there night after night like a familiar companion. You go to dark skies and you just marvel at it. You take pictures of it with a pocket camera and it still looks amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the universe has just been, for a quarter century, nothing. I'm outraged.
I know. And I mean, seriously, folks, unless you saw it, it's impossible to imagine. I was a baby grad student for Hale-Bopp, and there was the first night I was using the McDonald Observatory 30-inch, which is kind of nestled into the side of the mountain. The person who was teaching me how to use it, Philip McQueen, he was like, just hold on till 5 a.m. because I'd had to drive all day, then I was going to observe with him all night. It was like being awake for 24 hours required for your education. And I was just melting into the desk. And at like 5 a.m. he's like, okay, go outside and look. And I opened the door from the dome, and straight in front of me, taking up like a good 30 degrees of the sky, is Hale-Bopp. Up to the left are the McDonald Observatory 107-inch and 82-inch. They're reflecting off of them the entire horizon of thunderstorms that are off in the distance. And then straight overhead, like you were in a planetarium, was the Milky Way. And it was this moment of, if you showed this in a planetarium, people wouldn't think it was real. Yeah. And we saw that for months.
And then we saw it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's really important. Like Pamela's describing 30 degrees in the sky. So take your hand out at arm's length, put your fingers out as far as they're going to go, measure the bottom of your thumb to the top of your finger, and it's more than that.
Yeah.
That's 25 degrees. So it's bigger than that. Imagine that. Hold your arm out and imagine seeing a comet, bright comet, on the horizon, high up in the sky, that is just monstrous. And we've never, and the problem is that we get pictures, like people take amazing pictures with their telescopes, but that's not what you see with your eyes. But when Hyakutake and Hale-Bopp were here, that's what you saw with your eyes. You didn't need a camera. A telescope was of no benefit because it didn't fit. It was so big. Madness. And so anytime people are like, yeah, but what about this comet? It is unacceptable. The universe can do better. It knows it. And I accept nothing less than the best.
We need a Comet 1729 P1. This was a comet that reached magnitude -3. It is the brightest comet ever on record, although there are arguments that the Great Comet of 1882 might be even brighter.
You could read your newspaper to a comet that bright.
Yeah, and what's amazing is because these are related to how close we were to them, there's always that every single time we pass through the tail of a comet, when there's a meteor shower, there's this moment of, but the comet could have just gone through, and wouldn't that be amazing? And this is what I want, but we don't have any periodic comets that are due to do that anytime soon.
All right. So let's set this up then. What is it going to take? Like, what are the confluence of factors that make a comet great versus one that is not great?
So a truly great comet has to have a number of different things. It has to be near the sun and the earth at about the same time, but not so close to the sun that we can't see it. So you want this angle between looking from the earth to the comet to the sun. You want the comet earth sun angle to be greater than 20.
Right. Ideally you want the comet on the other side of the earth from the sun. And close. Yeah. I mean, that is absolutely ideal.
Yeah. But at least 30 degrees away. So greater so that it's behind you.
And the problem with that, is that comets get exciting. Comets get big tails when they're close to the sun. And think about how hard it is to see Mercury, right? Yeah. Mercury is close to this, is always interior to us. We're always having to look close to the sun to be able to see Mercury. Very few people have even ever seen Mercury because it's close to the sun. And so the comets are usually at their best when they're close to the sun.
Right. And so close to the sun, close to the earth at the same time, very important, because you also want the object to have a lot of volatiles on its surface that can get exposed to the sun, form a bright coma, form the tails that we see, both the ion tail and the tail of stuff and things. So we've been seeing lately comets that have a lot of carbon in them, and they become this amazing shade of green as they get ionized. And so the colors that we see are due to the composition. So it's not a requirement, but it's a bonus feature if they can have an interesting set of atoms in them.
Right.
And then you just want the sucker to be big. A little tiny comet that is like 90% volatiles and well placed isn't going to be able to put on as large a show as a significantly bigger object that may not have as many volatiles, but has a lot more surface area for those volatiles to be getting active on.
And give us a sense, what is a small comet versus a big comet, like the size of the nucleus?
I mean, like the biggest comets can be measured in kilometers across. Generally, they're not going to be that big, but they can get that big.
Right. So hundreds of meters to kilometers across. Yeah. I think the largest comet that we've seen, we actually saw it fairly recently, was in the tens of kilometers across.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very close, unfortunately. Even 3I Atlas is an interstellar object. It's 5.5 kilometers across. Like, it's a big object.
Yeah. So 2014, I'm going to say this wrong. I am so sorry. Comet 2014 UN 271 Bernardinelli Bernstein was 100 kilometers, 62 miles across, and it is the biggest we know of so far. But we've only had the ability to measure their diameters very recently. So there's that factor working against us.
All right, we're going to talk about this some more, but it's time for another break. And we're back. All right, so we know that we want the comet to come close to the Earth, but be on the opposite side of the sun, ideally. We want it to be large so that it's going to be able to give off a lot of volatiles, be able to fire material out into space. The bigger the coma, the longer the tail, the brighter it's going to be. So then when comets are first discovered, there's a lot of unpredictability.
Yeah.
Like we've done this quite a bit, where a new comet has been discovered, and then we talk about whether or not it's going to be great. Why can't we be more certain?
So it turns out that when comets are struggling to stay in one piece, they get super interesting on the sky. So one of the things that can temporarily allow a comet to get super bright, super interesting, is just when that sucker completely falls apart, which sometimes comets choose to do. We had one back in 2013 that opted to completely fall apart on not Christmas Day, on Thanksgiving Day. So when you fall apart, you have many different pieces all producing a lot of volatiles, and very temporarily you can end up with a nice, cool, bright thing, but very temporarily. There's also the issue that we don't know when we first spot a comet what its size is and what its composition is necessarily. And we make approximations based on how bright it appears. And if you have a really big comet that has a lot of dark organic molecules on its surface, it will appear smaller than it actually is. If you have a little tiny comet that is super, super shiny, or asteroid in the case of the target for Hayabusa 2, if you have a small object that appears super shiny, you're going to assume it's much bigger. And there's also the issue of sometimes we just don't know that a comet is coming. So when you and I make our predictions every December of what to look forward to the following year, we don't know about comets that have never been seen before that are going to decide to show up. So we can misidentify how interesting they're going to be. They can decide, hey, I'm just going to completely fall apart over here and become super bright. And then there's all the ones we just didn't know were coming.
Yeah. And I think the most compelling ones are the ones that are most uncertain. They're the ones that are going to do a close flyby of the sun.
Yes.
That trajectory you want is it falls down into the inner solar system, just scrapes past the sun, and then goes into a trajectory that puts it on, as we mentioned, on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun, or at least 30 degrees away from the sun, so you can see it in the sky. The problem is the closer you get to the sun, the more dangerous a path you're taking, and the sun will tear these comets apart with its tidal forces into just a pile of dust, and so you have to sort of thread that needle.
Yeah.
You want to get really close to the sun so that you have a lot of volatile elements come off of it, but you don't want to get so close that you get completely torn apart. And so there's been examples where we're watching for the comet to complete its flight past the sun, where if it survives, then it's going to be one of the best comets we've ever seen. It's going to be super bright, comet of the century. And we wait and we wait and we wait, and no comet comes out the other side around the back of the sun. It was destroyed. It's gone.
Yeah.
It's just, it's smashed into little pieces, and then all the volatiles are blown away, and maybe a debris cloud comes out the other side, but nothing that's going to put on that big sky show. It's got to hold together and be able to make that journey. And so that's one of the biggest unknowns, is will it survive its travel around the sun? And
one of the best apparitions that many of us heard about, either from great-grandparents or from music, it turns out, was the 1910 apparition of Halley's Comet. That particular year, all the right things occurred, and just after the comet went past Earth's orbit, passing through Earth's orbit, that's how we get the meteor shower from it, we basically flew through the tail. And so if you can time it just right so that it crosses the Earth's orbit as you're heading towards that crossing point, so it ends up behind you in the solar system. You can get an amazing meteor shower that leads to really good music getting written. The Stars Fall Over Alabama is the song I'm thinking of.
Okay.
As well as an amazing comet to view at night. And that double whammy of shooting stars and comet to view is just the kind of thing I, for one, dream of eventually seeing when some comet we don't know about currently decides to grace our solar system with a passage.
All right, we're going to take another break, and we're back. So you mentioned Halley's, and I wanted to sort of go into that a bit. So, we have now 3 classifications of comets. We have the interstellar comets, of which we have seen
3.
2. No, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, was Oumuamua a comet? Was it an asteroid?
Well, okay, that's fair. We've
right?
seen 3 interstellar
Borisov
objects.
was very much comet.
Yeah.
3i Atlas is acting very much like a comet, but they come randomly at high velocity. They take whatever journey they're going to take through the solar system, and then they're gone. And so far, they have not been very bright, hard to spot.
Yes.
You have the long period comets, the ones that are entering the inner solar system for the first time in their entire experience, that they've been out there for 4.5 billion years. They finally, through some gravitational interaction, make the long journey. They take 1 million years to fall down into the inner solar system, zip through, and then they head back out.
Yeah.
Random. We have no way to predict them.
Yeah.
But we do have the periodic comets, the ones that come on a regular basis. Comet Halley is the most famous of these.
Right.
So when can we expect a good, can we know when there's going to be good Halley's comets and bad Halley's comets?
To a certain degree. I know a whole lot of us were very sad about 1984. It just...
6.
86? Hold on.
I think it was 86. 87?
Sorry, Googling is occurring. Rich, we're sorry.
86.
86, thank you. Memories are faulty. I was in the 6th grade, not the 4th grade. A lot of us who were tiny children expecting to see a massive comet, because so much went into educating children across at least America. I don't know what you experienced in the Canadian. Yeah, you had the same thing. It was just like all of this lead up, all of this prep, and like
kind of meh.
Yeah. I was not impressed. And where it gets frustrating is at a certain point, the really cool stuff is also associated with stuff like landslides and disruptions, and we don't know when those are going to occur. So like Rosetta got some amazing close-up images of Sherry having outbursts related to disruptions of the comet. And so we can run software, and you can do this to a certain degree in Stellarium, into the future and figure out when will we have passages of the Earth right before or after a comet has crossed its orbit. And there's none anytime soon. It's kind of sad. But at the same time, we keep finding comets that are the non-periodic ones. So currently the periodic ones, we're going to get some, we're not going to get anything like Hyakutake or Hale-Bopp from any of the periodic ones anytime soon.
I mean, our next Halley's is 61.
Yeah.
2061, we'll get another flyby. But as you said, we probably won't get what we got in 1910, where we went through the tail.
Yeah,
where it was very bright. It was, like things worked out really well for that one.
Yeah.
In this case, it's going to be. I don't know what the kinematics are for this upcoming version, but in general, like there are a bunch of them, but very few come even relatively close to the sky. You can, every year we get a couple that you can see in the telescope that are periodic comets. They come every 20 years, every 1,000 years, but it's the ones that have come from the Oort cloud
Yeah.
that are the random, and they can be amazing or they can be mediocre.
And this is where, when we're recording this in the fall of 2025, we're looking at the surprise apparition of comets, Lemon, Swan, and then there's a bunch of others that are just telescopic ones. But 2025 A6 Lemon is predicted to get maybe as bright as magnitude 3 by the end of October.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to being able to see that with my unaided eye.
Yeah, that you can see with your eye. And
yeah.
It's been a while since we could even see a comet with our eyes. This one, and it's also well placed.
Yes.
So, and Swan as well. Swan is really well placed.
2025 R2 Swan.
Yeah. So Comet Swan is going to sort of pass up through Hercules. So it's a very high, very easy comet to spot. Lemon is going to stay very close to the horizon.
Yeah.
So you're going to need a good view to the west to be able to see it. Both should be visible near the end of October and into early November. You kind of need to know where to look and have some clear skies. But really, a pair of binoculars and a small telescope will get you to this place where you can see just a hint. But you should feel angry while you're looking through the binoculars at these comets and going like, really, universe, this is the best you can do? Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, and even though Hale-Bopp is a periodic one, it has an orbit of hundreds of years. So, we're not going to get to see it again.
Right, in our lifetime.
Right.
Unless we get our robot bodies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But who knows, right? You could be listening to this episode a year from now, and there was the 3 great comets that happened in December.
Exactly.
Right. The 3 great comets that happened in May. And we're all still talking about them. And that one time that the comet passed right through the atmosphere of the Earth. That was scary. Is a thing that can happen.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We suspect that perhaps the Tunguska event was a object that had a large volatile load, so it ended up having an airburst. I'm not saying it's a comet. I'm not saying it's an asteroid. I don't think that debate will ever be solved, but it had enough volatiles in it to have this amazing airburst that flattened trees in spectacular ways.
Yes.
There's this hope that we can get a non-destructive, really bright kind of event in our lifetime. So I'm not saying please hit the Earth. I'm saying please blow up in our atmosphere in places where there are monitoring cameras like they have out in Australia, but not a lot of life forms. So
Are you sure you're not a supervillain?
No.
Okay.
It's entirely possible. I'm also team please hit the moon for IR4.
Right. Yeah, but if IR4 hits the moon,
IR4, you're right,
causes debris, that could take out a bunch of our satellites. Worth it? Maybe for the mother of all meteor storms.
Well, that yes. and it's like a 50-meter asteroid, so it will create a roughly 1 kilometer crater, which is right at the edge of what a human eye can make out. It'll appear as a point source. And I now need to figure out what will the phase of the moon be at the time of impact. Like, do we have enough information to know that?
Right.
And if we do, then comes the question of if it's in the shadow, can we see it? And I'm actually working out the math for this. I meant to finish doing it yesterday, but we went down a neutron star rabbit hole.
Right.
So patrons, the $5 a month and higher level, we have a new That Takes Math series that you can join me for.
That is awesome.
So yeah, consider doing that. But comets, I mean, the real thing that we just haven't hit on nearly enough is the more research we do, the more we're realizing that things like landslides and other disruptions on the surface of these objects cause them to form comas, cause them to periodically grow tails. It is one of these things where comets, being not as structurally sound as one might hope for, causes them to put on amazing light shows. And if they're big enough and the disruption is small enough, we get to enjoy the light show and have a tale later to see because the comet doesn't fall apart completely.
Yeah. So, now we've reminded the universe what it's possible, what it's capable of. It knows how it's falling short of our expectations, and we demand better comets.
Yeah.
So, how's that coming, universe? Thanks, Pamela.
Thank you, Fraser. And thank you to all the patrons who support this show. I read your names, pre-recorded. Rich will insert them. That's a thing I do now.
Right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Pamela. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye, Fraser. Bye-bye, everyone. And then they saved.
They were the ones who saved. They were known as the Savers.
That would be a good book title. The Wanderers is a good book. The book series I'm currently reading, I went from the first book to the second book, and it changed narrators and whose first-person perspective it was, and I still don't know how I feel about this.
That's very... Whenever you change the perspective, it's a risk by the author, and it takes you time to reestablish, like, where am I? What's going on? Who are these people? What's the state of mind? And then they switch back. Game of Thrones was terrible for that, where you just be like, now we're from the perspective of these characters. Now it's those characters. Yeah,
and I'm reading, it was Ancestral Night by Elizabeth Bear. I'm now reading Machine by Elizabeth Bear.
Mm-hmm.
And Ancestral Night is the beautiful young person who they're telling the story from the perspective of, going through all of these. It involves archaeology in space, which is a thing I really like. And I still haven't figured out where we've jumped to. I just know it's a very different first-person perspective, and I have feelings. I really liked the narrator of the first book.
My son is just charging through books right now. He works at a car lot, maintaining all of the cars he works for like a car rental company. And so his job is to wash and maintain and sort of keep the cars up to shape. And so he has headphones in all day long and is just charging through audiobooks.
I love it.
So he did the math. He's read 37 books this year so far.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Amazing. Yeah. And it was funny because he read, and so he's got a combination. He's got an Audible subscription, he's got a Spotify subscription, and then we get a bunch through the library. And then Audible has a bunch of books that are you can listen unlimited.
Audible Prime. Unlimited. Yeah, you're right. Audible Unlimited.
And then he's got, and then you can find a surprising number of audiobooks on YouTube.
Yep.
If you know what to look for. And so he read yesterday Slaughterhouse-Five.
Oh, wow.
And liked that, but he sort of had to go and watch Crash Course to understand what the actual sort of
messaging,
what the metaphors were.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, I want a challenging book. I'm like, okay, read The Stranger by Albert Camus. And so that was in the morning, and 3 hours later, he's like, okay, I finished that because it's a very short book. It's like, I get it. I didn't really like it, And so now, Pushing Ice from Alistair Reynolds is on on Audible Unlimited.
That's a good one.
So he's checking out that. And then what was the other one? Oh, and then Player of Games from Ian M. Banks.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll get him into the Ian M. Banks Alistair Reynolds averse. He finished all of the We Are Legion. The
Bob-averse.
Yeah, read all five. I haven't even read all five.
I still need to read 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read the last 2. He was the guy who got me onto the Dungeon Crawler Carl books.
So I have to admit, I was a pessimist. I was like, I'd read or started to read a couple of other RPG style books. I just lost
lit RPG.
Yeah, I'd read a couple of those. I just lost the Japanese word. The one where a non-human ends up as the hero's journey. The word is gone.
In what?
So it's the name of the kind of either anime or book. So like I read
I see. Okay.
series that a Roomba becomes the hero. It's thoroughly silly.
There's a ton of like literature.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Lit RPG and just like series fiction. This is a big thing in Chinese and in Japanese. There's light novels, and a lot of them end up getting turned into television shows, anime, and movies in Japan. So, like Alice in Borderlands, I don't know if you watched that at all. It started out as a serialized Japanese fiction that got turned into anime. No, it got turned into manga, and then got turned into a television series on Netflix. And I've been reading a bunch of Chinese serialized fiction, and it's this really rich sort of and they're all translated if you want.
Yeah.
And same thing with the Japanese ones and Korean. There's a lot of this in Korean, and then there's a lot of stuff in English now. And I forget what's the main one. Something Royal Road, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of these where people can be contributing.
Yes.
And so I'm running a D&D game for my kids, and my eldest is a writer, and they proposed, why don't we do a lit RPG based on the campaign? So we may collaborate on Fraser's campaign.
Isekai is the word I lost.
Isekai? Okay.
Yeah, All the Dust That Falls is the lit RPG where a Roomba goes on a hero's journey, which was surprisingly amusing. It wasn't a great book. It was just an amusing book that allowed me to clean my house and do yard work.
Awesome.
But Dungeon Crawler Carl, I was like, this just sounds too ridiculous. There's no way I'm going to like it.
Yep.
And now I'm like, I need to buy it in Kindle edition so I can copy and paste quotes more effectively. Yes.
You will not break me.
And that whole quote is just like, I needed that for 2025.
Yeah.
It's so good, and unfortunately we now have to wait for the next book.
Yeah, I know. That's the problem when you catch up with a book series. I got through all seven books, just one after the other.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
And then you're like, and then you're done. You're stuck, and now you have to wait for him to write more books.
Yeah.
This is my wife's concern, is that she remembers in the good old days when television series would produce 22 episodes in a season, right? Star Trek, Stargate, all of that. And now you get 10 episodes, 6 episodes if you're British.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. While the Chinese, they'll produce 37 episodes for Three Body Problem. There's a series that I watched where they had 70 episodes for their, and it was the entire run of the show. They just, over the course of a summer, one per day, they released 70 episodes of a television show. So there's just in the West, we just don't have the grit to produce television shows the way we have become accustomed. Although 22 episodes with a bunch of mediocre filler episodes, clip shows, things like that.
Right.
We were watching Stargate. And
you hit a clip show?
We hit 2 clip shows.
Oh no.
And so the finale of season 2 is a clip show. I couldn't believe it. And then fortunately the beginning of season 3 was the sequel to the finale.
Yeah.
Was not a clip show, but I could not believe that's how they went out, was with a clip show. So
I'm assuming you've seen K-pop Demon Hunters by now.
Yep.
I learned from Arnstra over the weekend that one took years to produce, and there's no hope of more content.
There's no hope of more content? I've heard that they're planning more episodes. More
Really?
books.
Okay.
Or more
Okay.
movies, yeah.
I had misinformation. That brings me joy. Okay. That definitely brings me joy.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
think, why would it's like the biggest movie that has come out. Sony is killing it.
Yeah.
It's 4 of the songs were in the top charts.
I
They're
know.
absolutely going to make more of this. Are you kidding me?
Well, it took them
Yeah.
years, so you have to worry about how long it will take for anything else. And so I could imagine that.
Years. Or
Yeah.
yeah, no. But now there's money to be made. Now there's blood in the water. They'll make more.
Yeah. Arnstra is reminding me in the chat 9 years is
Yeah.
how long it took to make.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'll be able to make it a lot quicker now that they've got all this attention on them. So
It's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
we went to Fright Fest and they were playing the soundtrack at the front of Fright Fest, which it was wild.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't love it actually. The music was great. The music
Yeah.
was catchy. I didn't love the movie. For reasons that are like super in the weeds. But yeah,
All right, fair.
we watched it so maybe Arnstra was saying that they cut a lot. I imagine it was 3 hours long. That would have been better because it did feel short.
Yeah,
There was
it
a lot
was
of things
rushed.
and just the arc of the story. It felt like they missed the entire point. I don't kind of want to spoil it, but the gist is that everybody is redeemable.
Yeah.
They were setting it up that everything is redeemable. Everything is that it's all about perspective, that the people who are demons for a reason, and that the reasons are perfectly understandable, and that they are trapped in this nightmare with the
Yeah.
demon lord, who is just who's inflicting just another kind of slavery on them, and that the K-pop demon hunters are trying to wall off the demon world from
Yeah.
from the regular world. And so and they realize that the demons are actually all manipulated and coerced, and they're in a special kind of suffering, and what they require is empathy and understanding. And I don't want to spoil the movie for how they resolve it, but it is not the satisfying narrative arc that comes from what I just set up for you. Right? That's not what they got. But my wife and I have this thing we call the Korean ending.
Okay.
So one of the things, like, we watch a lot of Korean television, and the thing that we really enjoy is that we don't have this sort of baked in meme expectation for how stories are told in Korean television shows. And you're like, oh, this is a really wholesome movie, and then the main character dies brutally and loses everything. And you're like, whoa, where did that come from? Right? Oh, and then we watch another movie and the same thing happens. You're like, wait a minute, okay. So now we call this the Korean ending, which is that everything that that the main character loses everything and is punished for their ambition, right? Yikes! And then we call that the Korean ending. And so now we're now much more prepared, and so we try to predict which show is going to give us the Korean ending, which show is going to give us the the happy Hollywood ending.
That is
Yeah.
that is also very true. It's
Yeah,
like there's
and watch a bunch of stuff like Old Boy, Chosen to Leave, Parasite, The Host, Train to Busan. You'll see how the Korean ending reveals itself. Yeah, yeah. So, and which is great. I love it. I love not like, oh, we're on the hero's journey.
Right.
Oh, someone wants to save the cat. I know how
Yeah.
this is all going to play
Yeah.
out. No. It's bizarre and it's unexpected. And then after a while, you start to feel like you're getting a sense of the culture. One more thing. I know I'm kind of going on and on and on. And we're at the end of this, but we watched The Moon, which is a Korean show, which is sort of like the Korean version of The Martian. And the science was terrible, which was unfortunate because they were really trying to be very accurate about a lunar mission, a Korean lunar mission. But part of it that was really enraging was they had these like mustache twirling NASA officials who were doing everything they could to make the Koreans die. right? Don't save them. If you try to save them, you're in big trouble. Guns drawn, trying to make NASA administrators, not offer up safe harbor for desperately in trouble.
How you know
Koreans.
your country has jumped the shark.
Yeah.
You're the enemy
And
in
so-
other
and
nations'
so you're-
movies.
Yeah, and so you watch a movie that's made in Korea, or you watch a movie that's made in Japan, or you watch a movie that's made in China, and they have American or Canadian characters in them, and you're like, why couldn't they find a person who could act? Why couldn't they find a person who could like be a compelling character? The actors are so good, the Korean actors are so good, and yet they clearly just went down to the street and they picked some random guy off the street and said, you're going to be an American general. And then you're like, and then a moment of self-awareness pops in, and you go like, oh, that's what lack of representation feels like.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That if you're a person who is Korean heritage or a person who's Chinese heritage, you're watching a movie and you know how it should feel and you watch how it's represented and you go, come on. This is not our society. This is not our culture. This is not how we talk. This is not a good actor. This is insulting. Watch a movie that is told from the reverse perspective and feel those feelings, and you get a moment of empathy of what it feels like to have a not very good representation of your culture in a foreign movie.
Yeah.
So-
And you get to find out when you are not the hero anymore in a foreign country, apparently.
Yeah. You're the villain. Yeah, and that as well. It's like this is the perspective that they have. This is what their version of a stereotypical Westerner looks like, behaves like.
Yeah.
And is culturally, that's how it's sort of perceived. That's the template for the American bureaucrat, for the American soldier. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. We've reached the end of our hour now, for sure.
Yep. So later today, Starship 11 is going to potentially launch. We're going to do a watch party. Our Insta is here to do it live with me in Edwardsville. You never know what to expect with SpaceX and Starship. There's no predictability in this.
Yeah.
So come eat popcorn with us.
It might go to Mars. We don't know.
Exactly. You never know. You never know. So this Wednesday night is our new episode of EVSN. And we take a look at Hayabusa 2's destination. And I am just going to keep giggling over the fact that asteroid turned out to be so much smaller than was anticipated.
The spacecraft might be bigger than its target.
Yeah. So I'm proud of this episode. And other than that, stay tuned. Follow along. Fraser Cain's Patreon, Universe Today, and CosmoQuest X, and we share all we can out there. The launch time, Jessica, is 6:15 Central, 7:15 Eastern. That is midnight 15 London.
5:15, so about 5 o'clock my time. So in about 5 hours from now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. And I don't have a live stream tonight. I already did my live stream, so I'll be able to watch that.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye, everyone.